Okie dokie. Hopefully this is all good. Let's check the audio inputs. Oh, everything I'm clicking on OBS is actually not doing anything. Hang on. Yeah, all right, fine. Whatever input it's using, that's all we get. So today, what am I going to be doing? I am trying to make pre-builds of my React Native macOS app. So this is not actually pre-building the React Native core, but pre-building, caching a build of the whole app, which is something that Expo Fingerprint can do for you. But Expo Fingerprint was only implemented for iOS and Android, so I'm just kind of following through the source code, the reverse engineering it and seeing what it expects and adapting it for React Native macOS and see if I get anywhere towards that. So let's just see how we go. So right now I'm trying to assemble the options that we pass into the Expo Fingerprint command, and what I've got here is a build cache provider implementation, which I have based on their reference example, which lives over here. So they have generously provided a TypeScript implementation of how to create your own remote build cache provider that hosts your cached builds on GitHub Actions. No, sorry, on GitHub releases. And I happen to have copy-pasted this, turned it into JavaScript, so I skipped the build step. And I'm just hacking away based on that. So here we go. Where am I so far? So what I've also got is I made like a demo file, which allows me to call this build cache provider without going through Expo CLI. And that's handy it's handy for rapidly iterating on it. Oh, hello. I'm not sure about Unk, but hello. I cannot read that fancy text, that fancy font, but nice to have you. Righty. So I am currently in the middle of a breakpoint, and what I actually want to do is kill this thing right here, because we're in the middle of changing a few things. So as part of our demo, we are trying to put together some options to put into Expo Fingerprint just for macOS. So I am trying to work out how this thing works. Like this is all kind of not like, I don't even know if it might have documentation, but I just want to see the source directly. And everything that has any sort of reference to iOS, I'm just going to copy paste that and put macOS in, because macOS projects are assembled in much the same way as iOS. They're all Xcode based. So what we're trying to do is figure out how normalize options works, look at all the assumptions it's making for iOS, and help it out and say, well, you didn't implement anything for macOS, but what can we meet in the middle? Can I do that bit for you? So I am curious what some of these do. So I'm just going to put a breakpoint in here, and actually, we might as well pass these options in. And I am going to run my little demo, which does all this. Yeah, we can put the breakpoint a bit further down, and actually that'll go, yep. So our project root is React Native macOS prebuilds, and we've got these options that we're just about to assemble. And we'll step inside. There we are. Okay, hang on, I went a bit too far. But fine, we're not going to find a Expo config file. app.json because this is not an Expo project. This is a pure React Native macOS project. So that's fine. Now, this next thing is going to collect ignore paths. And we've already passed in, as you can see, our own ignore paths, those extra macOS ones. And you'll see how this thing uses that. We jump inside, and it's going to take all the default ignore paths, got the Android ones, the iOS ones, Gradle, blah, 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 and the Expo specific ones, no ones. But also, it's got ours, our macOS ones. And that's as far as I've got so far. Good step over that. And from here, I haven't really read what all this stuff does. So what have we got? It's going to look for the Expo Fingerprint ignore file, step over that, and it's going to check if we have one and find, I guess, that we don't have one. So yeah, we just fall straight out of that try catch. And then it's going to build path match objects. We'd better check how this thing works before bouncing back out of here. So that's going to throw us out here. So let's jump inside here and see what this does. Okay, yeah, this just turns it into mini-match format, so that's fine. I don't need to look too closely at that. Okay. So we are one line deeper into how it all works. Next up, use continuous native generation of platforms. Well, let's see what that all does. Let's put a breakpoint here so we don't go too far. There's our options, as you know. Ignore path matches a whole bunch of mini-match expressions, but these now include macOS. Okay, jump inside here and figure out what this thing does. So, the first bit of discouragement is there's no word macOS in there, but let's see what this actually is for. Platforms, okay, right. But we gave it platforms. Yes, we got macOS. Now, let's see what happens. Steps over on macOS platform. And now we have a big old function here. I've got no idea what this does. So just before starting the stream, I wanted to know, like, what is a project workflow? So we've got a breakpoint here, so we could just cheat and find out what the end result is, but let's step into it. Let's do it properly. Oh, there's a bit of logic in here. Let's get some more screen space. Make it big. I'm sorry you're watching on stream, but I'm sort of doing this selfishly. I'm making the setting up the screen the way I like it. Let's get. We'll keep that one around. All right. Yoink. So, what is this thing? It's looking at our project root. It knows our platform is macOS, and it's got all our ignore paths. Let's step over this and see what that gives us. Config plugins package root. I think that's fine in my case because I have a non-Expo project. I am absolutely fine. Oh, sweet. Yeah, we just return unknown. That will save a lot of time. Don't need to re-implement this one. But if we did have config plugins, it would have to look inside our iOS config and see the plugins array and see if, I guess, any of those have changed and whether that's going to impact the fingerprint. But in our case, it's a non-Expo app. So this simplifies things greatly. Right. So we skip that. And of course, that's got no .macOS key. False, false, false. All right, sweet. So this is going to return Android and iOS, which I don't want, but we can come back for that in a moment. Got concurrent IO limit, which that'll be fine. Hash algorithm fine. Source skips plus. The config null. Seems hard to believe. Config is null. Okay, fine. Really? Oh, because that's the Expo app config. Yeah, fine. That's config.json. Yeah, it is null. Okay. And then all of those options. Yeah, ignore path seems fine. I've got all right. You can patch my React imports however you like. That's fine by me. My project root is there. I I'm curious what this under 52 thing. Ooh, this is not going to satisfy any Expo version. Because, again, we don't have Expo at all. Well, let's see what this thing does. It returns null if the Expo package is not found. Okay, so under Expo 52, it's either going to say do enable or don't enable React imports patching. And of course, if we find that, we do need to opt in or opt out of that. In our non-Expo project, we could just pass a true, false in these top level options. Oh, it tells us what it is. Great. Transforms imports of React in this will be your native code on the iOS side, from import RCT bridge to React RCT bridge. Default is true for SDK 51 and lower, but the React Native macOS project I've made is on a version of React Native macOS that is equivalent to SDK 53 or so. It's certainly above 51. So I think we can take the default false for that. So we'll be good. We'll be good. Ignore path merge objects. We're good for. What is this? Do a match. Okay, it will. I think just cut off any of those paths that are directories. It will handle them as directories rather than paths, files, something like that. All right, sweet. Okay, these options will work, I think. Ding, ding. And so that gets us through a very significant line. That tells us the options that Expo Fingerprint makes are just fine. Now, as for the sources, based on those options, what's it going to find? Dig in. Let's put a breakpoint there. Auto-linking version is 0. Yeah, there's two kinds of auto-linking. There's the way Expo CLI auto-links, and there's the way the React Native Community CLI auto-links. So this seems to be about that. And we can just tell it what to do, but let's see what it ends up auto-ticking. I'm a little unclear which way around it's referring to here, because I do want to use React Native core auto-linking, but I don't want to use the Expo version of it. It's gone and put it as false, so let's take that for now. I'll see if the options document that a little better. Default true, but we ended up resolving false, which is exactly what I think we want. Okay, cool. So far so good. And then this will, from here, do a bunch of probably long-running async things. I don't actually want it to look at my Android stuff because that's just a waste of processing time. And I don't want it to look at my iOS stuff either, because this repo is purely for macOS prebuilds. But fine, we'll just pay for some time. So going through each of these, what are they for? One thing it's missing is the bare macOS sources. Oh, does this? What would be nice is if we can pass any arbitrary things. Yeah, I think this extra sources might be the way to go about it. Oh, yes. Yes. I think that's what we want. Extra sources. Right, so let's just let it do its thing, find out all the kinds of things that it collects, and then we'll add in the extra ones beyond that. Oh, this is too big to read. Oh, wait, I didn't even ask it to print out anything. So what are my results? That is a bunch of empty things. So in here, in this array of arrays, I am particularly interested in anything that says iOS. And if it says iOS, I'm going to try and think of what the macOS equivalent would be. So here it's read out my package.json. I looked at this before, and it's basically saying, are any relevant contents of the package.json, have they been changed since last time? Has your React Native core auto-linking config changed since last time? No, it does not. And then lastly, we have, has your React Native version itself changed? We want this to be looking at React Native macOS. Okay. Right. So I will need some screen space for this. Source it. This is now going to be an async function where we will return. How do you do this again? I normally have an await expression first. I'm gonna have an await something here in a moment. Oh right, yeah, it's because this needs to be a promise. That'll be fine. So from here, copy paste of. So I'll just say where we found that. That was default. Based on some default HTML bugs. Okay. Next up, we need to do the same stuff it is doing here. So const extra sources equals await promise dot all something. Extra sources needs to match that type. We could just do extra sources. Hash source. Okay. And so we need to do the same thing they're doing here. So we need to, I think it's pretty clear we're going to have to implement this get bare iOS sources async as a macOS version. Let's just grab that declaration. And we'll turn this into JS doc. Hash source. Where does that type live? Great, it lives in the base of Fingerprint, so I can actually simplify This can be extra sources is hash source. Fine. Return hash source. Array of those, is it? Who's using you? We want an array of these, I think. Yeah. Array of that. And it's going to be a promise for array of that. Okie dokie. To do. Commit that async. To do. Then we take a project root, which is a string, and then there's normalized options. Again, pop from here. Normalized options. That. Okay, now we need to return array. And this process is going to involve where do we find that? We wanted get bare iOS sources async, which lives here. That looks easy enough. Copy that. If option to platforms includes macOS. TS expect error. I don't know. Just gonna grab that again. Okay. Get file-based hash sources async. Is this exported from Expo Fingerprint? It would be nice. Okay. At expo/fingerprint dot. It would be nice if that was exported. So it's finding it from utils. What does utils do? It exports a few things. We might have to be naughty here. So hopefully they haven't put any import maps on this. /build/source utils. Just please let me do this. It's going to be Expo Fingerprint utils. I totally got this path wrong. Hold up, let's just get this right. Expo Fingerprint build says utils.js. Do all that. Excellent. Okay, sweet. And then we can take all this build craft off. And does it have the type? Yes, it's got types. Sweet, 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 sweet. So if result is not even out. Now we don't have chalk installed. Do I bother installing chalk? Shall I treat myself to chalk? I might do. Let's figure out what chalk they were using. Bun wide chalk and get ready for a very big readout. Oh my days. I think I need some more terminal scroll. Let's cd build cache provider. We'll do a bun Y for chalk. Then we'll search for what Expo Fingerprint is using. Yeah, chalk 412. That'll do me. Get me enough terminal. Bun add exact. To me. Okay, we now have chalk. How should I sort these? Should node come first? Very philosophical. Not actually set up. So I normally have import sorting set up so I don't have to think about this, but I guess I don't have it set up in this repo. Oh yeah, because I made this repo like an hour ago, so I've got barely anything in it yet. So chalk was needed. Chalk. Here. Chalk dot dim macOS. And then instead of debug, let's not go as far. Debug? Shall we bring in debug? Yeah, we can do that. All right. Which version of debug are they using? Debug. They are using. Oh my. 4.4.3. Let's use that. Debug can be this one. Go to top. We have debug now. Why? You can manage without TypeScript types. Do you really need separate types for debug? Seems uncool. Really not. Do I just need to bust for cache? Yeah, it's got no types. That is lame. All right. Bun add dash d at type slash debug. Come on. All right, we're back in business. So they set up debug like this, and we can set it up like build cache provider demo. Yeah. Okay, we have debug, so we can match this exactly. Yes. All right, sweet. And we will change this to macOS sources sync, async rather. We will do something like that. Source. Project routing options. In you go. Why don't we have project routing options? Where do we get those from? This here. Add param. String. Options. Probably going to be this, aren't they? Is that not the options you want? Fine, we shall go into TypeScript. Source normalized options. Fair enough. Okay. So we have our bare macOS sources. Now we just need to pass in project root and options. And so this is normalized options. Maybe. Why is it complaining? Options for macOS, expect project root. And I'm a little confused because the options are made in like multiple steps, and I'm trying to think at which stage of options construction which. Well, for one thing, what options is it even interested in? It wants options to platforms. Okay. So I can be a little cheeky here. As we've got the implementation, we can just do. Type is going to be options, and we are going to actually have these up here. We'll pass those into there. That's going to be fine. These can be in options. Let's call it that. Options. Like resolved options. And then something like that. Oh, that's strange. This is really annoying. I'm going to have to walk through the code again to figure out how we're actually putting this options object together. So these options it got were the ones that it got in get hash sources async. Where did I find this thing originally? Calculate fingerprint hash async. Okay, I need to go inside create fingerprint async. Who owns that? Fingerprint. Oh, it's here. Right, it's here, isn't it? So we have these options. And in order to form our options, Okay, so create fingerprint async is expecting an options. So this should return, that's correct with about turns and options. So we actually want to also be returning an options, and then from the resolved options, this thing is what's a normalized options. Now, normalized options apparently omits something, things like ignore paths. Okay, fine. We'll play your game. The that'd do it, wouldn't it? Extra sources needs to be not an array of arrays. So this is, as promised, an array of hash sources, right? So what am I getting wrong here? I clearly need to flat map that, but I do want to match just the way they were constructing everything. But we're getting closer. Project workflow, not this one. Source scopes, not this one. Sourcer, that's the one. So they took results and they pushed into, right, yeah, so they flat mapped this. Okay. What's the best way to do this? I mean, one possible way we can. How about extra sources? Get rid of that for the moment. Extra sources array. No, they call it results. Let's just be completely symmetrical. So results, and then what this do? Const extra sources equals. Does that work? Wish I could mouse over that. Argument the type is not assignable. Maybe I can read it in here. Argument for options was not provided. I'm pretty sure I provided it. Okay. Welcome along. For people who've just joined, I'm deep in concentration at the moment, so it's a bit hard to narrate, but just trying to basically copy what's going on there, but for macOS. Normalized options. What is it complaining about? Yes, it's not assignable. Why isn't it assignable? Because the whole point was I took out ignore paths, which I think was the main thing. Missing the following properties. Oh, right. Yeah, okay. It needs some things made definite. So, fine. Okay. Options equals. Let's play your game. Right, type. Actually need to figure out which ones it wants. So the deal with normalized options is that it makes a bunch of properties within your partial options actually become required, and this is a lot more complexity than I really wanted. Now, we'd have these all readily defined if only we were doing things in a slightly different order. So the problem we've got here is a chicken and egg of we actually want to calculate our extra sources based on some options that get handed to us that have been ready resolved, normalized, as to say. But because we actually want to figure out the extra sources up front, that leaves us with a little problem. So I think I'm just going to take an executive decision here and say, I've got the implementation right there. I know it's only interested in one option, which is platforms. So I'm just going to say, let's just do resolved options dot filter. Come on. Filter x equals macOS. So we take only the compatible ones. And we need to. Heck, I could even make this a lot easier myself. So pick out of this just platforms. Then we are good to go. Okay. Resolved options dot platforms and filter platform. We take only macOS platforms. Was that okay? And then of course the TS ignore will be needed here because it's us who's adding the macOS support. Okay, which means we get rid of all of that and probably no longer interested in this. Extra sources, I'm going to have to think about what was the issue there. Yeah, that's tricky. So there will be, I'm just thinking of the most elegant way to flatten this. There's obviously ways, but I'll get to that in a moment. And then the last thing is figuring out all these. Let's see. I think we're doing that correctly. we're spreading that in there. Okay. So the last thing is these extra sources, which, okay, we can figure this out. Extra sources needs to be a flat array. Ah, actually, I know exactly what this needs to be. Sorry, it's very late. This needs to be, oh, so simple. We just grab the first thing out of the many promisals, and as long as we're super careful, you know what? We could even, this could be real nice. Let's do. Look at that, extra sources is going to be that. Now, does it have the correct typings? Ah, it's typed compatible. Excellent, sweet. See, we can make it pretty. Okay. Let's see. Ready. So that gets us our macOS sources after all that time. Package JSON, JavaScript. Hopefully this is the same between iOS and macOS, but let's have a look. Let's just search for all occurrences of iOS here. We've got our bare iOS sources. We're going to need to implement this as well. Get core auto-linking sources. But any other mentions of iOS? I think we also need this. Okay, well, we'll come back for that. Oh, sweet, we don't even need to come back for that right now. So what we would need to do was implement this thing. Okay, we're back on track. So let's take that method right there. Yeah. Reproduce the method signature. Normalized options again. Yoink. Project root is a string, and then the use rn core autolinking from Expo is optional Boolean, which leaves only spawn async default. Is this Expo's utility for that, or is that the Node.js one? That is Expo's utility for it. Okay. Spawn Expo spawn async is that. Let's see what version they were originally using. Fun white. I'll take that one. Terminal. Fun add. Here we now got that. So we can now do this. Second way. Yeah, I think that's the default import as we like. Next up, we need Expo Resolver. What is that? That comes from Expo Fingerprint. So what are you grabbing from this? Okay, that is not exported, so we shall cheekily take that. Resolver. we find that here, copy relative path. It's going to be a fingerprint slash build slash Expo resolver. Okie dokie. You could take these JS off. Good. Okay, Expo resolver. Okay. Next up, where does that thing come from? Parse core auto-linking sources. Please be exported. Please be exported. Fine. I'm just going to have to copy paste this. And that grabs this. I'm going to have to copy paste that as well. How deep does this go? Going to need a few things. That's really, really annoying. Anything else while I'm here? Fine. Probably commit at some point. Let's take a moment to commit. Let's just get something. I can just commit a few hunks of this. So we are getting closer. Commit the whole thing and then subtract a few hunks. So we do not want the not yet used function get core auto linking sources from Expo. So that's 150-ish. Leave that out. Comes to chat. For this on macOS, we are using. Okay. I think that's good. So what exactly were we doing here? We are implement. Okay, we're a little closer. But in order to implement get core auto-linking, we need to grab this. Parse core auto-linking sources. Here. Oh. I thought there'd be types for that. It's only got types for the exported ones. That is inconvenient. Its reasons a string array probably. Contents ID. I don't know. String. Let's just go to the source code. Okay. Let's Expo slash Expo. We need the implementation for this thing. That lives here. Sweet. Okay. Let's grab this. Window keep on top would be good. Can I not keep that window on top? I guess not. Fine. Right, I'll just put this on my other display. Right, so filling in the types for this, we need a object, param naught, and then a bunch of subfields. So at param. What have I done wrong here? Param naught dot config. What's the problem? Config is they've typed it as any type, which is not helpful. But then reasons is a string array. And then content ID is a string. And then platform is a string. And this is that how you say it? Hang on. It's optional on the object, but we're writing in JS doc. Can you do this? Is this right? If I hover this. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, you can have that optional. That seems to be working. And it returns what exactly? It returns a promise for hash source. Okay. Type. No. Expo/fingerprint dot hash source array. Beautiful. Okay, now config is a thing that's going to have a root. Now I am just wondering, could it possibly be the thing that they've been using? Oh no, this is the is this the Expo config they're talking about? Maybe it will become clear soon. I don't know. What the heck is this config thing? Stood out? Oh, it's for React Native config. Fine. That's gonna be not fun to get the schema for. So yeah, unknown would be fine for now. But before we get too deep into this, we should figure out whether React Native config JSON platform macOS is supported. Oh, but look, if we're not using core auto linking, we don't even need to do this. But I think it's good to kind of do things thoroughly, even if like a lot of the downstream code paths are not going to get used. It's it's good for the sake of humanity. Like this work might be useful to someone else in the future. You know, macOS support for Expo Fingerprint. Might as well do it properly. Okay, so we can chalk this because we've got that for iOS. Platform macOS. Okay, macOS, 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 macOS. I think I have used React Native config before, so I suspect this can be fine as long as. That's the thing. The Expo Autolinking CLI is gonna go look up the wrong CLI for me. Yeah, that thing. I think probably only supports iOS and Android. I might completely renege on the thing I said just a moment ago, which is using Expo's RN core autolinking. We might just treat ourselves here, comment out all of that stuff, and say, actually, we know fact, the core auto linking sources is just going to be, it's going to be nothing. It's just going to be, but then if it doesn't use that, then how does it detect fingerprint changes in auto linked files? That's a little worrying. I think I need to, before completely giving up on that, better just check. Find out what this thing is, how it works. We could just run this thing and see what happens. So in order to be able to run it, we need to just keep going, implement the rest of this. So let's do that. For now, let's just change config to any. And then we'll need path. So, oh, we got path. Path.deposit path. Oh, come on, you can do that. It's deposits path. Path.to. What path are they using? Oh, weird. Okay, it's their own path. Fine. I can grab that. Expo path build slash utils slash path. There we go. And then this, all of these chalk defaults can just be chalk. Auto linking config dependency data. You know what? That's going to be fine. It's going to be just fine. Don't you worry. The results. You know what? You're fine. It's exactly the same code that Expo are running. Next up, we need dependency is probably unknown because we saw the types for this. Any, yeah, root string. Okay, string and any. So much to implement, but we can grab these two. All of these to POSIX paths. Path. Expo path. And then these path one defaults. That can just be node path. And process. I don't think we're using process yet. Node process is going to be process. And then we'll jump back down. Process. And then find out what assert they're using. Yeah, node assert. Assert is going to be here. Jump back down. Assert. Great. Okay. So we're actually only going to be able to test this if we flick a option. Fold that. No. Fold that. I'm lost. Totally lost. This thing wants just one setting, which is yeah, I can't hover. use rights. Why doesn't it like that? Oh, you need to put the options first. Oh, right. Okay. Fine. But which options do you actually care about? You just want platforms, don't you? Yeah. Shall we just say normalized options equals what do you even call these? Saucer options is going to be that. Okay. At type that. Oh, yeah. There you go. I'm kind of curious to see what happens if I do turn on Expo core, Expo's version of Expo's emulation of the core auto linking. So let's stop that. So we've got our extra sources. I could. They did a. Does that work? No. What's a fun way to flatten this? I mean, I could just keep this simple. So we have the macOS sources, core auto-linking sources. How about we just keep life very easy and then spread that and that? Sure. That's a lot simpler. Okay. Sweet. Type script now happy. We should do. Run the script again. Okay. And in our JavaScript debug terminal. Cool. There's a philosophical question. This is asking whether we're using continuous native generation for Android and iOS. But for a React Native macOS project that doesn't use Expo at all, what would continuous native generation even mean? Oh, right, that's why it's ignoring it. Yeah, no, we definitely don't want to ignore Android iOS. Yeah. We don't want to ignore macOS. Okay. Right. I think keep going. We have, hey, there's no extra sources. Did I not pass this thing through? Come on, I swear I passed that through. I'd need to, that's fair enough. I need to await it. Yeah, of course I do. Fair enough, fair enough. And I am writing blind with JavaScript here, to be fair. Right, that is very fair. Const options equals, wait, that, destroy that. Try again. Extra sources. Yes, we have some sources. I don't know why it's saying iOS in there. Did I miss an iOS? Oh, that won't be helping. Stop it. Stop, stop, stop. Okay. Yes, sources macOS, bare native directory. Yeah, so because the bare native directory changed, we must regenerate the fingerprint for macOS. Excellent. And so it steps over each of those and it adds macOS source, pushes it into, yes, yes, that's fine. Okay. So that was get hash sources async. We have now implemented that for macOS. I did say that I was trying out the auto-linking stuff, but actually in the end, I don't think we triggered it, so we should probably make sure that's working while we're here. So, there's a true somewhere, where was it? There we go. So I was going to try use React Native Core auto-linking for Expo. So we are ultimately passing this through to a Fingerprint. We are telling Fingerprint that yes, we want to use our core auto-linking. So I don't know why we didn't, as far as I know, trigger it. Ah, did we implement this yet? Oops. I think we did. Dang it. Got one more to implement. But hopefully this is not a big one. Okay. I swear we did it. We've got bare macOS sources. We've got core auto-linking sources. Fine. We shall implement one more. One more. Grab that. Okay. Project root was a string, I recall. And the options we can figure out from here. From the BTS. Normalized options. Have we got one of those lying around? Yes, we have. And is it only interested in platforms? Yes, just like all rest. Expo auto-linking version is a string. What does it return? Promise. Hash source, just like all the rest. Yep. Okay. macOS. macOS. Now we need send there. Okay. So, how should this work for React Native macOS? Oh, sweet. Added support for Apple platform. That sounds good. That sounds... Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Sweet. Well. I think I am just gonna say... Yeah, we're just going to make sure that Expo auto-linking version, like a sufficient version, is installed, and we're going to force it to platform Apple, and then we don't need to grab send there. In which case, we don't need Expo auto-linking version. Okay. We need spawn async. How was that implemented? We've got that. Okay. Path. Then path default can be path. This can be just choke. macOS dir. Message. Not that. Okay. Or I could do that for consistency. We'll do this. Great. That is one more. We'll just work out what that was supposed to be. It's not there. Project workflow sourcer, right? Yeah. Profile. Project root options, export autolinking version, project root source options, and then we don't need to pass in the export autolinking version. And the only thing we need to do is make sure we've got a copy of Expo auto linking. Which we can check. Right. Dang it. Okay. Let's add the latest Expo modules auto linking to the base package. I'm not quite sure where it's going to be looking for it. Relative to project root, presumably. Right, let's do it. Play your game. Okay. Stop that. Save. Commit. Hopefully. Wait, hang on. Burn. I did not want her to carry it. There we go. Ugh. I'm gonna have to change the lock files on burn.lock. Nope. Don't prettify it. Right. Save without formatting. There you go. Okay. Hopefully have some level of support for all. Yeah. Let's get rid of that. Okay. In which case we can actually put that there. Yeah. Mm. Okay. Where were we? Let's run the debug again and see what happens. Bum, 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 bum. What have we got? Oh yeah, dang it. One more thing. Stop. Okay. Well, that now means we have 2 items in the array now, which is more than 1, which is good. So I think everything in here that had an iOS, we have now implemented macOS for. Great. That is very good. Phew. Let's get out of here. On to where I prematurely thought we were at before. So now we sort resources. Hopefully we don't need to change a thing in there. Yeah, I think this doesn't get changed at all for macOS. I'm interested in this package React Native thingy, as we're going to need to do that actually for React Native macOS. Where was that? Who gave us that? Let's go back for it. I'm afraid we must go back for it. Where did that come from? Package JSON script source? All right, let's kill it and go back. So this so far has given us ignore. That's our own user package.json. And then this is, number 13, which is the final one. This is so much work. Okay, come on. Come on, Expo. You can support macOS one day. Oh, it's generic. Oh, that's so good. Can I just use this thing again? Yes, please. Yes, please. This packages thing. Do I have that? Demo. Go to packages, go to implement definition. No. Go to source definition. Nope. Go to implementations. Oh, I thought they'd like finally solved that a long time ago. But fine. It's gonna be packages. It's going to be fingerprint build source packages. Okay, export packages, and we go back down to our increasingly growing array, and we put this dot default package sources. Wait, does this not use its own options? Why would you do that? Hang on, no, this is fine. Sure, that looks simple enough. Shall we just make that for ourselves? Right. That's string project root, and it doesn't actually take any options. And what does it return? Hash source array. Okay. It doesn't actually use the options. And then here's the magic. Instead of default packages, we do React Native macOS. And this thing comes from Expo packages dot that, and then I swear I'm just gonna TS ignore that. Yeah, we're filtering by Boolean, so you don't need to worry about not. Okay. that would be good. And then this last one was package.json script sources. Oh, that pushes the whole script array. No, it's normalizing it. Yeah, that is a problem. There, IS. To do. So I think I can live without this one for now. It's because I know I'm not going to be, from this point onwards in my repo, I'm not going to actually make any changes to my root package.json run scripts. So I don't think this one actually matters. Okay. And put that. Okay. That. Extra sources. I thought we'd have more extra sources actually. Why are there only 3 elements in the array? I kind of thought that. Oh, right, because yeah, it's been flattened. So yeah, that's fine. Moving on. Then we have our normalized sources. Let's just go through the fingerprint and then I think, yep, that should work just fine for macOS. And then now we have a fingerprint for our native macOS app. That's very cool. But what I'm more interested in is what does it actually do after all of that? Because where is it? Oh, let's change this. It's going to be R&M prebuilds. Project root is up 2 from here. Yeah, that's fine. Fingerprint hash. And options. Platform is macOS. Build path, blah, blah, blah. Let's kill that here. And let's actually make a GitHub repo. New repository. This is going to be R&M prebuilds. A okay, that'll do. Got that. New name repo, and then add remote, push. Okie dokie. Next up. What is it going to do in here? I need a build cache provider token. I need to remember how to make one of those. But fine, let's issue one right now. Settings. Secrets. Where does this thing live? Deploy keys. I swear I wrote this down. I wrote this down somewhere. Maybe they've got to read me. There we go. Personal access token. That will do me. Scope it to. Alrighty. So I shall do this off screen. Yeah, I'm just generating a personal access token off screen. Right. So it's going to be something like this. We'll make a new fine-grained personal access token. Look at the handy name, like build cache provider token. RNM prebuild. I just want to check off screen like all my other ones are named. Nope, totally different. So it's named like that. Okay. Description. The expert. Okay, expires. How are we feeling? 90 days. Let's do 90. And then only select repositories, please. I'll do this off screen again. RNM prebuilds. Okay. Let's see. Whoops. Okay. So the permissions needs to be repo scope. Right? No. How did you do this? Select the repo scope. Where is this repo scope? Deploys, right? What did my last one have? I will go check. read and write access to code. How do I do that? Contents? I'm pretty sure it's contents. Let's do that. Yes. All right. Move off screen. Copy this thing down. Okay. Where do I put this? I should have an Xcode and definitely made it so that it would go read your env.local. Okay, so it steps up 2 directories from here and it looks for your dot. Why isn't this getting? Oh yeah, because it's not an Expo project. Where is my getting? Cool. So we need to have a field cache provider token equals, and this could be something like fill in off screen. Okay. Right, I have done that off screen. Okay. So now fine, I'll just run it again and see how it goes. Now this is probably going to reveal my token if I'm not very careful. That's fine, I can revoke it. And it is precisely scoped, so that should be fine. All right, you need nodenv. You need nodenv. I can give you nodenv. Right, it's go check another project for what my nodenv is. Local is going to be. Hang on, what is nodenv? Is that the path to a node binary or? Was this for development versus production thing? Oh, that's. I will just set that as production in there and see how it goes. Go. I'm a bit bored of that breakpoint now. Disable that. We'll come back to it. And let's disable it. Okie dokie. Tag already. Yeah, we can fix that. We can get rid of a tag for you. Don't you worry. Why can't I grab that tag and... Yeah, there we go. Delete that tag. Where's my repo going? What's the name of this repo? It is... So let's jump over to... Do I have one of my own repos handy? Let's just write in the URL. github.com/prebuilds. Okay, so we're going to run this again. Save that. Then, there we go. We're uploading something to GitHub releases. It says no such file or directory stat. Yes, well, we need an asset to upload, of course. And this is what I really wanted to get to the bottom of. Like, for iOS, clearly it makes an app. For Android, it makes an APK. And I wanted to figure out, okay, what is that very last step of how does it make that? And how can we make it do that for macOS instead? So we need... It's doing all the GitHub administration stuff first, but I need to remind myself, like, where does it actually generate this build? I am kind of wondering, like, is it the Expo? Because I'm missing the Expo CLI, I don't get that. There's some things I don't get for free, and I'm wondering if it's Expo CLI's job to build that before all this gets called. That is probably the case, isn't it? Because I don't think I've seen any logic in here that kind of looks like it builds it up for you. Helpers, yeah. GitHub. Obviously not involved in that. Download file from where exactly? Right, so that's to bring a ready cached build. But how do I build it? All right. I think that is pretty good progress for today. We've got... So what we did today was getting fingerprinting working for React Native macOS, except for maybe one of these, which I decided to skip, but won't make much difference for this particular use case. And from here, the thing we need to do afterwards is figure out how to make a .app app with any code signing. I don't actually know if these are normally code signed or if they're code signed for development or what. And then we can have GitHub release with our, not just the source code, but the actual the app attached to it as a pre-built, ready cached thing. But until then, I think I'm quite ready for some sleep. So thanks for coming and watching, and see you next time.